It's in the Weekend Politics, and we are live here on CRBC TV, wherever it is you're watching us from. This is Calabar. My name is Joseph Ian, and quickly, like I said, today we are exactly 5 years as a team. Many big shout out to my producer and and all the team that have been there for us. Not forgetting our editor. Now, from the start of the show, there's been a man that I call the most consistent as far as bringing guests to the show is concerned. He's been a regular face. Call him 2 hours to the show, he will be there for you. A man of great insight and depth. I'd like to introduce, he's been a 2-term commissioner in our state, special advisor as well in his administration, and also the coordinator of the empowerment scheme that would be popping up in few months from now. I'd like to introduce you our regular face, Honorable Dr. Edem Okokun. So good to have you again and again on Weekend Politics.
Thank you, MC Joe, and congratulations. Congratulations to you, MC Joe, and your team. Very brilliant team. And congratulations to Cross River. Good evening, Cross River.
Thank you so very much, sir. Now, Doctor, a few days ago, we saw a serious push for state police. Now we see that even one of the papers we took during the newspaper review was that once the Senate is back, they're back from their recess, they would expedite action on the state police bill. And now the question is, what is really the rationale behind this establishment of state police in Nigeria?
Well, thank you, MC Joe. State police or state policing is not a new concept. As a matter of fact, if I take you down the memory lane, take you down into history, we used to have the Lagos police in 1896. I used to have the Niger Coast Constabulary of 1894. By 1930, all of them were fused together again. Then we moved on there to the First Republic, that's 1966, where we used to have the Federal Police Force. We also had the regional police. We had the Native Authority. We also had the traditional police, like the Hisba, as we have in most of the core Muslim state areas. So policing at the national, at the state, at the local government level is not a new phenomenon. It's just that after the coup, 1968, the entire policing and the police system was centralized. And to make matter was the 1999 Constitution actually cemented and centralized the police system in Nigeria. That's after the brief history. Going to your question, you realize that Nigeria is big. We are big, with different tribal and cultural and traditional strata, and we do not expect that only one man can sit and understand these cultural and traditional differences, both in terms of demography and tradition, and we don't expect that one man to have authority over it. So the need to decentralize, you need to bring this in closer to those who understand their environment, who understand their culture, who understand the way their people behave, the behavioral pattern of their people. And that's why the need for state police is very important, particularly when we benchmark against the recent spate of kidnapping and banditry that's gradually slipping into the western and the southern parts of Nigeria. So there's need for those who understand their bush to actually step up and police their bush. And you can begin to see this, particularly in the west where we have the Amotekun. You can see that within the short while where the Amotekun, some little victories has been recorded here and there. And if we empower them effectively, and they let them take charge of their bush and the environment, I'm sure the issue of banditry, terrorism, and kidnapping will be brought to bear.
Now, we also look at why is it becoming more urgent more now than in previous years?
It's becoming more urgent because of the changing environment of the criminal system. As we now see, there's a high degree of sophistication for which the central police alone cannot handle this. are you going to talk about intention of intelligence gathering? It's only the local people that can gather superior or better intelligence as far as their environment is concerned. You wouldn't expect somebody that comes in all the way from Abuja to gather intelligence in our own area. It's only the local people here that can gather such degree of intelligence. So when you look at the sophistry of the criminal system or the criminal system that's now enveloping us as a country, enveloping us as states, there's absolute need for that urgent need to reform the police system and decentralize it so they can actually tackle this criminality headlong.
Now, Doctor, fine. This stuff is very much operational in the United States of America. Where we have the federal agents and all of that, and we see they try to complement each other. Now, here in Nigeria, how do you think the state police would complement the federal policing structure that is existing already?
If not for constantly in every program, I've always told you that the coup has always set us back as a people. If not for the coup, by now we'll have perfected the art of having state police, or even the local government. Maybe now we won't be talking about state police, we'll now be looking at the local government police. So, but I'm sure as we evolve with this system will continue to correct itself. There'll be argument, there'll be counter argument. But I also want, as we are moving into changing the constitution, that we should put certain things in place so that the politicians don't use it to the detriment of the real purpose that it was meant for.
I'm going to come there because there's been a lot of pros and cons as far as this proposed bill is concerned. But we also look at the legal system. The federal police and the state police will start having issues of jurisdiction. How are we going to handle these jurisdictional challenges that would sure rise up? What would the constitution say? Okay, this is where your rights start as a state police, and this is where it ends. And how will we also have that in terms of the federal police? I
think we can actually look at the American model, like I rightly pointed, where the federal police actually superintend. They superintend in terms of generating policy that got to do with policing. They generate the policy and also expect that the various subnationals will adopt the policy and then reject it they will adopt the policy and adapt it to their own peculiar environment, while the federal police still continue to give to pretend it as supervision on those areas. And there's going to be a lot of legal lacuna, but that's what I think the legislatures will now begin to think of and begin to find a way to sort it out. In terms of jurisdiction, it's clear that the federal police will always superintend and supervise the state police, especially when they go beyond the bounds of or the limits set in the constitution for them.
Okay, now back to where you had raised earlier, and that was the concern I'd raised at the start of the show, that some politicians might likely want to influence, interfere in state police. So how do we handle this?
Well, that's why we are saying that because
some Nigerians are saying that Mr. President is trying to use this to fight and intimidate his opponents in various states. So there have been a lot of back and forth on this. How would we ensure that politicians don't interfere in state policing?
For me, I think that it is time Mr. President and the party and his team begin to clean the house and they send some message of trust to the Nigerian population. So once that trust is there, then the back and forth will not be there. But the truth of the matter is that we need to, the constitutional amendment, we need to make it transparent. We need to make it interactive so the public can also put in their safeguards, their expected safeguard into the constitution. Once those safeguards are there and it's interactive, it is participatory, then I'm sure that most of these doubts will begin to fade out. Don't also forget, as politicians, we are always looking for how we put stuff there, put stuff for us, and we give the opposition to the same opposition. They may also think the same way. I mean, the other side may also think the same way. But what matters is bringing a lot of transparency into the system, into the constitutional amendment, and then allowing the people to also participate in that amendment. Let them also take in their voice, take in their fears, and see how you can use that to change the constitution legally.
Now, the senators will be back after their recess, and they say they would give up, expedite their action to ensuring that this bill is passed. Do you think this bill would surely see the daylight?
Well, so in most cases, the party of the day, they have majority in the House, both Senate and this. So this is the best time for them to work on it. But while also doing that, like I said earlier, a lot of transparency has to be brought to the table. Everybody must think that what they are doing is unbiased. But where there is uncertainty in the system, then people are bound to react, and people are bound to fight back. So this is the best time to do it. As far as APC is concerned, this is the best time to do it because they have the majority in both chambers, both legislative chambers. So this is the best time for me. I think they should go into it. But in doing that, they should put a lot of safety measures to ensure that the populace can actually feel and touch the transparency that is there in the system, that's there in what they want to reject in that constitution.
Great. Now, let's move away from the state policing and start looking at yet another national issue that came up some days back. Now, we got feelers that the government is proposing to move away from the iconic khaki uniform for NYSC members to Adire. Now, Honorable, you've been almost everywhere in Nigeria now, and this has been there as many years. We've all seen the NYSC stop. But this reform, do you think it's really necessary at this time? What informed the movement, from the khaki to Adire?
I think the Minister of Interior has come to debunk that they are not thinking of changing the uniform to Adire. But for the purpose of innovation and creativity, take a look. If you go to the bank on Friday, you see them put on their So what's the purpose for not putting on the Adire on the Friday? Maybe all through Monday to Thursday, you can put on your regular khaki and your T-shirt and your NYSC T-shirt. On Friday, we can do that. It brings the national vibes, and it's also open up other optics for the international community to see our own creativity. I know that, and it also creates that optic for us for the other people to see that we are taking ownership of this. It's not just leaded in the 1972 era where it was almost tailored towards the white man way of this. So we can now begin to bring in our own colors. It's not bad. That's in terms of creativity. But just changing it absolutely, I don't subscribe. The idea won't be able to withstand the stress and rigors that this will go through. You can even see that before 6 months, most of those khaki fade out. You can imagine at the time, some of them get on, and you can imagine what Adire will do. So the government will spend too much money in changing their clothes over and over. So I think that they should still hold on to the khaki and the T-shirt and the shirts too. They should still hold on to that while bringing that little creativity. Maybe on a Friday we can actually have something to wear on a Friday.
Great. Now let's look at that. When this administration came on board at the national in 2023, they came up with a proposal to change the national anthem, to go back to the old national anthem. Now the idea was the anthem we're singing as at that time had this military mindset, because we're being governed, we had during the military era. Now, could we also see that this khaki is trying to change the mindset of the military, to an Adire that is civil in nature, so to say?
Apart from the social integration, when you look at the concept of the NYSC, apart from the sole purpose of the social integration of our young graduates, getting them to mix, getting to learn other people's culture, so that Nigeria can become a lot more socially cohesive. But you also realize that they were supposed to serve as a kind of reserve, a kind of combatant reserve. So taking out military totally out of it, if you watch what applies in every other crime, they take them through military training, while also delivering service on social integration and other. So I think the military vibe is not out of place at all. Because assuming we have war now, we need to call up reserves and call up people who are fit. They will be the first line of people who will call upon. Because they already have that military training background, the physical training background. So every other one may be how to shoot gun and how to be at the range, take cover. That becomes additional. But for the basic physical training, they already know about it. They know about the drill. They know about waking up. They know about the regimental lifestyle that they have to go through for that number of 1 year, which makes them a bit more different from the conventional civilian. So, for me, is that we should leave the way it is. We can rejig it a bit, like I just said. Now we can introduce this Adire on Fridays, You understand what I'm saying? But I also like what they're also bringing in, trying to make the orientation a bit more longer, but this time the entire orientation will now be stratified into learning your core, skill acquisition, leadership training. So I like that. So when you are through, when they come back after that 1 year, they become a well-molded, a well-rounded person in society.
So aside the Ajire stuff, which other reforms would you love the Ministry of Interior to prioritize?
That's I've just said that the extension of the orientation. Yeah. Orientation is a lofty idea where they also have to perfect. For somebody, for example, somebody will learn microbiology and next you push him to the class. You should be pushing into the lab. So from that 6 weeks orientation, they will get to understand their sole purpose and their sole aim for the course they study. This and the application of such course in our social environment. So that's the beauty, and that's what they were not having before. You just go through that orientation of 1 2 weeks and then nothing. That orientation of 2 weeks just purely military drills. But now we are introducing leadership course, we are introducing skill acquisition, and making you, perfect your own very skill, what you learn from the school. And that's an addition. That's opening up the frontiers of knowledge. That's opening up the frontiers of reality.
Absolutely.
So I think we don't need any further adumbration on this.
Great. Now let's move away from this Ministry of Interior stuff. Let's look at yet another thing that is heating up the policy, the polity in the last 72 hours. A man called Prince Adeniyi Adeyemi, who heads a council called the Presidential Foreign Investment Promotion Council, has been fingered to be a fraudster by the federal government. But now I like us to talk about this man. This man happens to, a few pictures we have seen, he happens to roll with the high and the mighty. But today, we notice that the federal government is alleging that he's a fraudster, and they've completely denied that council, that it's not in existence.
Well, I think the presidency cannot totally absolve themselves of blame. But let us go back to the man, Prince Adeniyi Adeyemi Matthew. From all that we have read, from all that has been put out, it actually shows that the man has been a con artist. It's also a man who has perfected the art of being that con artist. This one takes me to one postulation in sociology. There's one school of thought in sociology called the government dramatology, the con man perspective. The man just come to play his con, act it, dramatize it, and it was working perfectly. But then there must also, I'm 100% sure there are accomplices, because how can the man penetrate the federal secretariat? You can, like I said, the high-level pictures that we have seen flying on social media, opening accounts with Central Bank and other banks, multiple accounts. Who gave out the approval for such an account to be open? Because you just can't open and go to a bank and open a CBN or open an account. Somebody must have given that approval. So as an authorization rather. So we must look at it critically. That's why I said the federal government cannot absolve themselves of any form of responsibility. Because this man would not have acted alone, definitely. Even though we agree that he's a con artist from all that has been read out, but he had support. He had alibi. He had people who gave him all the necessary information, all the necessary authorization that he needed to act. So in looking at this critically, we must open up the frontiers of investigation from all angles. We must open up the searchlight and see who are the collaborators. What was the sole purpose of collaborating? Because they've gone as far as having a budget headline and then a budget that was 1.3 billion. Once you look at it, is it that there are several other unknown agencies like this? Is it a means through which people in the government also using siphoning money? We have to look at that. So it's a whole gamut of investigation. We have seen one now. I'm sure if you open our touch, we may see more. And they may have been using this to take out Nigerian money for God knows how long.
And he actually secured a space at the federal secretariat.
Yes.
So, like you said, there are a lot of accomplices. And now the question is, there should be a mole in the system, because already the chief of staff of the federal to Mr. President have been fingered, and also we see another reports today that the SGF also fingered. Do you think that the presidency, has come up with a probe a directive. Do you think that this will see, because we've seen the NDDC probe when someone faint, collapsed, and that was the end of it. Do you think that this would, because this guy is also ready? I watched him yesterday on TV when he had an interview. He says he's going to court, that he will present his evidence. So do you think the federal government will be able to run this matter and nail this man when they know that there are other accomplices within the system?
And that's your fear is as good as mine, because at the end of the day, when they hit the roadblock in that their probe, they say everybody will shit back. Nobody wants to expose. But I think that in a sane society, in a sane climate, all those that are fingers should have relieve themselves of any opportunity, so that there can be open space for the investigation to go unhindered. But unfortunately, this is Nigeria. This is where we are. Those the principal accusers, or those who have been accused, they are still there. They are still going to operate, and they are going to have a great influence, like I rightly pointed out, sir. When the penetration hit a roadblock, when they know that the thing is touching people in government, you see the whole thing will die natural death.
How can we bring in the Nigerian police, all these agencies, CFCC, to truly go into a transparent investigation?
Then I don't know. Like I said, the Nigerian system, all of us have always known the Nigerian system. It's still the fear, no matter how you turn the question, the fear is still there. And that when they hit a roadblock, when a high-level person in government is affected, the investigation may just die. It may just die naturally.
Now, the matter is in court, so Nigerians are watching. Nigerians are hoping to see a fair trial.
We are really hoping. We are all hoping. You people as journalists are also watching, so, because you need something to report.
Absolutely. Do you think that Nigerians would truly see the judiciary coming up to do the right thing?
Yeah, brother, we have to pray, because if they come out and they bring this to the fore, a lot of things will be covered. A lot of this will be covered. And like I told you earlier, if you X-ray, you are just seeing one now, there may be no more. There will be concrete pipe through which they funnel our budget year in, year out. This is just one. I'm sure if you look at it critically, there will be more.
So this is also a way of budget padding as well.
Well, yeah, I know.
Another dimension of
maybe we call it another dimension.
Yes.
I don't know. I wouldn't say it's another dimension, but I say it's a conduit. They try to legitimize illegal conduit to take out money.
So if that means, like you said, so if this council has been exposed, obviously there may be other councils, other agencies that are not really existing to help Nigeria.
So we may also, like we said, we may also look at the fingers of government authority, people in government. You will see their hands there.
Let's get your party.
Because how would the man have gone to his federal? Who gave him space in the federal secretariat?
How did his budget even get to the
and they even approved it. No.
Now, I think the days ahead would be quite interesting as we look at the story, because more trails. Kwankwaso also came up to challenge the federal government to take that matter seriously. More question trails there. Then at Deyemi's, PFIPC probe. So let me give you what will be your parting shot on this?
Well, my parting shot on this is that they should allow for independent probe, unhindered probe, and they should the panel should open up the floodgate so that they can also see whether it's apart from whether there are other agencies or other institutions that are being used in this manner. So that's my parting shot. Okay,
so this is where we have to bring the show to an end. I must really thank you so very much. 5 years today, and we're celebrating with one of the most consistent guests on the show, Honorable Dr. Edem Ogukon. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, my brother,
for always being there for us throughout the last 5 years. I would also like to inform our viewer that, look, on the last Thursday of this month, we would be having a political conference to mark our 5th year anniversary. And by next week, we will be giving you more details on that particular event. Let's do this again next week, Sunday, God willing. My name is Joseph Ian. Good night.